Aloha, welcome. Today we'll be exploring the third part in the Spine Like Water series, where we discover we don't have to push so much to strengthen. So this class should feel really good, and at the end you might be surprised by how strong you feel after this quiet strength that we wake up. You need 3 or 4 blankets or beach towels. Beach towels are nice because they're firmer than a lot of blankets, so that works too. And with that, we can begin. Will you please zoom out, Satya? Okay, so the optional blanket goes underneath you. I've been calling this your sacred play mat. It is not required, but it is really nice to have this different texture. So if you've got an extra blanket and you want to play with this, feel free to take a moment to spread it out and smooth it out. And then the other 3 blankets or towels we will use, as we have been in our series, fold them in half long ways, because this is going to go underneath the spine, all the way underneath the head. Hi, Mandy. Great to see you. And then stack your 3. The first one is going to go over to your left-hand side, and then the second one is going to go on top of it with a little bit of an overhang, so you've got extra support underneath your low back. And then the final one is for your head, so it can go at the further end of the stack. And once you've got your lovely supportive bolster, turn to your right, place the soles of the feet down, and gently start to drape the spine over the prop. And if you're still folding blankets, no problem. Take your time. There's no need to rush. And eventually, as you start to make your way onto the bolster, you want to make sure that the low back feels supported. There's no gap between your spine and the blanket, and that the back of the neck and head feels supported. Actually, more the back of the head, so that the neck feels long and spacious. So wiggle around, get comfortable. And then once you have found a comfortable way to rest, you've got some options for the arms and legs. My favorite here is feet a little bit wider than the hips, and then dropping the knees in. So you can try that, or you can choose whatever's comfortable for your legs. And then with the arms, nice bend in the elbow, palms face up. Make sure that the upper arm feels supported and isn't pulling on the socket. If it is, just walk the elbows in a little closer to you. If it feels safe, close the eyes. And let's begin by tuning in to our breath flow. If it's possible, it's always ideal to breathe through the nose. And as you breathe, you want to notice what's happening to the spine. We have a tendency to overbreathe, especially into the front of the lungs, causing the back to arch. So try to keep the back on your support system. And as you breathe, try to feel the spine actually expand towards the blanket. Not only will this prevent overarching, but it will start to stimulate a fuller breath, waking up more of the diaphragm, a very important muscle in breathing, but also in our core. And as you continue to feel that expansion in the back body as you inhale, start to drop more and more awareness towards the exhale. And we never want this to be uncomfortable, but play with slowing down your exhale. Let that slowing sensation be really natural. And start to notice how this emphasis on your exhale affects your body, your mind, and your overall state of being. And it's okay if you feel drowsy as the nervous system downshifts. Know that there is prana, there's vital life force in the breath. And if you can really tune into the energy of the breath, you can become energized at a subtler level, even as the mind relaxes. That drowsiness is the mind relaxing. It's not actually fatigue. And start to become very interested in the sensation of the breath and that deeper hidden layer of the breath. Last night Satyam was reading an ancient yogic text. that's what he does for fun at night. And in it, it was talking about how the breath is the first movement of consciousness. It's literally our direct link to the divine. And it's something always pulsating through us, but our connection to it, our reverence for it, can shift via our yoga practice. Feel that inner spark, that curiosity and joy that is possible when exploring and connecting with your own divine nature. And we'll take just a couple more breaths before we begin to move, and try to set the intention to continue feeling the divinity or the consciousness of the breath. Letting this practice be so much bigger than just for the physical body. And now we'll start to wake up the deep core musculature with some tiny movements that hopefully will evoke big feelings. And so begin by keeping the spine on the bolster. And this is really important. You don't want to overarch here. But gently, with an exhale, start to take the weight out of the arms, but keep the fingertips touching your mat or blanket. And then set the arms back down, and do this a few times. Each exhale, let the arms get light, and notice a sense of condensing at your center and integration of the ribs and the pelvis into the core cylinder. And it's not what we think of when we think of core work, that exertion of doing a sit-up, but this is our true core. And when these muscles turn on, we have endless support in our joints, and we'll feel really spacious and light. Take several exhales to explore this unweighting of the arms. And less is more, because if you lift the arms, you start to turn on bigger muscles. And we don't want the superficial larger muscles doing the work. And so it's almost like everywhere that's contacting the mat stays there, but you just take the weight out. Less is more. And then just for fun, the next time you take the weight out of the arms, play with pushing the bottom rib down into your blanket to roll up just a little bit, letting the superficial muscles come on, but not losing the deep core support, and then set everything back down. We'll try the same thing with the legs. The legs are heavier, so it's going to be harder. So take a couple of breaths just to find your center. And then as you exhale, unweight the right foot. So it's almost like lifting the foot, but not quite. Again, make sure the low back doesn't overarch. And then set the foot down. And you'll continue like this, switching from side to side with the exhale. And less is more. It might be surprising, but these micro movements force you to use the deepest musculature in the body. Try to keep the foot actually contacting the earth, and it's literally just taking the weight out of the footprint. And the next time both feet are on the ground, play with unweighting the arms, and then unweight one foot, and make sure you're not holding your breath. And then you can play with rolling up and lifting the knee like a crunch, and then setting everything back down and going to the other side. So it starts with the lifting of the unweighting of the arms, unweighting of the other foot, and then gently curling up. And you can repeat this on your own, and it's sort of a yogi's choice here. You can also just play with the unweighting of the arms or the unweighting of one foot at a time. So you've got options. But just make sure there's a sense of ease. And especially if you're lifting higher, you don't want to feel any strain or even too much work in the neck and shoulders, because it should be coming from this deeper place. For me, pressing the bottom rib down into the blanket helps me lift with a relaxed neck. And then release everything completely. Interlace the hands behind the neck. Let the elbows softly open so that the chest can relax. Take a couple of smooth breaths, opening the front and the back of the body simultaneously. And then release. Oh, actually keep the arms there. Curl up just like you did before with that bigger crunch action. Lift just the right foot towards the ceiling, and then slowly drop the right foot to roll up to seated. Nice. Release the arms just so that you can hit play on the first track, because I forgot to have you do that before. And then we'll meet in that same position. So fingers, instead of interlaced, you can bring them just behind the ears, so it's a softer movement. You might remember this from last week. I loved it so much that I wanted to repeat it this week. So next time we do this, as we roll up, we'll drop. I want to make sure we're all on the same leg because I don't remember which one I cued. So left leg out, right foot bent, just in case we're not there. Looks like I cued it not like that. And so now let the left elbow gently lower towards the leg, so you're twisting to the right, and this should feel really gentle. Start to push in to the right foot, sending the body back up to neutral and untwisting, and then keep pushing into the foot to recline back on your stack of blankets. And Laura, I know you came in late. It's the same prop as the last couple weeks. If you've got some blankets or towels nearby to support the spine. As you set down on the blanket, drag the left foot in. Gently press into the soles of the feet to peel the spine up one vertebra at a time into bridge pose. And then gently drape the spine back down. Unweight the feet to activate the deep core, and then curl the body up. This time lift the left foot and slowly drop the left foot down to roll up. Yes, nice. So that core activation should help make that nice and easy. And then gently let the left elbow get heavy, spiraling you to the right. And we'll do a few more on the same side, and then we'll switch. Push into the right foot, slowly coming back up to neutral, reclining onto your support. Drag the left foot in. And nice, easy bridge pose, one vertebra at a time. And then one vertebra at a time sets back down. Unweight the feet for the deep core. And then curl up for a more standard looking crunch. Lift the left foot and drop the left foot. Let it lift you and gently begin rotating towards the right. Push into the right foot, slowly rolling up, and take a couple more on your own, moving at your own pace, finding how smoothly you can move here. The next movement's the bridge pose, nice and easy, doesn't matter how high you go. And then set everything down. Unweight the feet for the deep core, and then hover and pump the left leg, and use that momentum to gently spiral to the right, but it should feel really effortless. And the next time we recline, we'll go to the other side, but take your time. We'll still do our bridge pose. Unweight the feet, curl up, and this time the right leg lifts, and drop the right leg to sit up. And gently spiral, this time towards the left, and let the spine become heavy so you drift towards the leg, though it doesn't matter how far you go. Then push into the left foot to slowly come back up, drag the right. Oh, actually, keep reclining and then drag the right foot in for bridge. Drape the spine down. Got the deep core, and then the more superficial muscles lift you, and then the right leg lifts and drops to help you roll up and open to the left. Nice. You can always pause when you're in that lovely side bend if you're enjoying it. Whenever you want to, you push down into the left foot to come back up and take a couple more on your own. See if you can recline as weightlessly as possible. And then that bridge pose should feel really nice, like you get a lot of space in the front of the body, just flowing and opening. Can do one more. And this time, let's pause in the side bend. Release the arms so the right hand comes down to the right shin and the left arm reaches up, and gently start to point the heart up and down. You can make some big circles with the top arm, but it's really more about changing the direction of the torso. If you find an area that feels really nice in the rib cage, you can pause and breathe into it. And with each breath, feel not just the left side of the rib cage expand, but bring some awareness into the right side too. And then as you exhale, feel that softening that we paid attention to in the first part of our class. Push into the left foot to slowly rise up. Bring the soles of the feet together for one moment. Press into the soles of the feet. Notice how the knees lift a little bit. I like a nice wide diamond here instead of bringing the heels close in, keeping them far out. Take a moment to sit upright, and then zombie arms. Slowly recline onto your bolster one more time, just so we can come into that side bend on the second side. So soles of the feet to the mat, fingertips behind the ears, unweight the feet. And then curl up, this time lift the left leg, lower the left leg down to sit upright, twisting to the right. So away from me, heavy left elbow, let the right side body open, and then hand to shin and other hand reaches up. It might feel good to inch the right foot over to the right so you have a lot of space for your hips here. And start to circle the top arm. As the arm circles down, heart points down, arm circles up, heart opens. Feel free to pause anywhere and breathe into both sides of the rib cage. If you haven't paused, I invite you to pause for one last breath. And then push down into the extended leg to float up. Lift both arms towards the sky, soles of feet together, and make a few rocks on the pelvis, circling around the sits bones, letting the spine follow, letting the arms follow, soft shoulders. Circle the other way. And then cross the right foot in front of the left. Plant the left hand behind you, just to the side of your bolster. And then as you drop the right hand, pivot into tabletop and walk the left hand to the other side of the bolster. Nice, Mandy. That's a fun one. Now stack your 3 blankets and even them out so you've got one bigger bolster. Turn your support to be perpendicular. And then tabletop across the bolster so the hands and knees are on opposite sides. Inch forward so the knees are as close as possible to the bolster, and then flatten the tops of the feet. Press into the hands to send the hips to heels. It's okay if the bolster catches the triceps and the forehead or wherever it lands for you. And then push down into the shins, unweighting the pelvis. Slowly start to roll forward into cat pose. Once you make it to cat, paw out the hands. Find a comfortable place for the hands to support the shoulders. Bring extra weight into the pinky side and let the knuckle of the index and middle finger lift so the hands are really soft. Let's do that again. Press back into Bhaktasana with the nice prop underneath forehead and arms. And then push down into the shins to unweight the pelvis and slowly roll forward. This time, allow the hips to start to lower so that the bolster catches the upper thighs. Walk the hands forward just a little bit and then play with dragging the hands back and wide to allow the spine to lengthen for a nice easy supported upward facing dog. This should not feel intense anywhere. If it does, lower the knees back down and think more like cow and less like up dog. Let's try that again. Press the hands back, release forehead to blanket, soften, and then push down into the shins, rolling forward. Front edge of the body sucks up to meet the back edge, widening through the back body, and then the hips gently lower. Find the support. The support should be on the thighs so it catches earlier, and then allow the spine to gently unfurl and make sure the low back is nice and soft. Take a couple of breaths here and rock the hips from side to side. And if that's not comfortable, it means that the low back probably isn't feeling very supported. So see if you can walk the hands in, lift the hips a little bit, even walk the knees closer to the support so that there's a lot of space in the low back and you're not feeling any pressure as you rock from side to side. And then walk the hands into the blanket. Tuck the toes under and play with lifting the knees. Take a couple of pulses with the knees and then lengthen through the back of the legs, sending the weight back into a down dog-like position, but it should feel easier because there's more weight in the legs than the hands. Sway the hips from side to side and then bend the knees. Walk the feet in towards the blanket. Bend the knees even deeper and let the spine drape forward. Anchor your big toes. Look at your big toes. If you can, even touch your big toes. Tickle your feet a little bit. Say hello to your feet. Let the ankles drop in and out so that the arch collapses and then lifts, just stimulating a little extra awareness in the feet. And then find the place where the ankles feel balanced and the center arch of the foot gently lifts. Keeping a big toe anchored and arch lifted, shift weight back into heels. Slowly start to roll up, push the hands into the thighs, coming up to standing. Take your time. Oh, you guys are all experts. You're still going. It's so beautiful. I think your spines have officially turned into water. Congratulations. So now we've got these blankets in front of us, and we're going to play with bouncing on the blankets, and this should be with a really nice light touch. So from your Tadasana, my blankets are less than a foot in front of me. Shift the weight into the right foot, and imagine your blanket is like really cold water, and you're just like testing the temperature with your left toes, and you're like sort of careful about it, like, oh, I'm scared. And then let the foot anchor down and twist slightly to the left, so just a little rotation. And then lift back out and do this a couple of times. So it's the toe touch and then the foot comes down and a gentle twist. And it's okay to stay forward. I just find that my body wants that gentle rotation and that it feels really nice. Bring some extra awareness into the back foot as you pulse here. And notice how having awareness of both legs helps you move a little lighter. Maybe you can even feel how the legs are relating towards one another and the support that's emanating up the spine. The next time you twist into the front leg, shift the weight forward into the front leg and see how it feels to take the weight out of the back foot. You'll probably feel the front leg strengthen, Make sure the knee feels safe here. Drop weight into that front heel if there's pressure in the knee. And then straighten the front leg, lift the right knee and twist to the right. Yay! Good. And let's try that again. So untwist, put the back foot down. In fact, let's pause for a moment in Virabhadrasana 1. Push down into the front foot. Let the whole front of the body open effortlessly. And then shift the weight forward. Take that little twist, push into the front leg, and lift the right knee. Twist to the right, just like we did before. You'll feel extra wobbles. It's harder on your blanket, so please be compassionate as part of the humbleness of yoga. And then set the foot down. Let's do that one last time. So Virabhadrasana 1, equal weight in both feet. You can always inch that back foot back a little bit if you want to. And then start to twist into the front leg, kind of like a revolved triangle. Shift the weight forward, push down into the left foot, and stand up, balancing on the left leg. Rotate to the right. This time you can let the right hip externally rotate a little extra for dancing Shiva, if you'd like. And then set both feet down on to solid ground. Close the eyes and just notice how stable you feel. Maybe it even feels like your feet have gotten wider and spread out. And let's play with that same sequence on the other side. So shift the weight into the left foot now and test the temperature of the water with the right foot, like really gingerly, like you barely want to put the foot down. And then, okay, it's actually a really nice temperature. You can place the sole of the foot down and gently start to rotate to the right. And then straighten the right leg and rotate. And take a few of these gentle spiraling pulses. Keeping weight in the back foot is going to help the deep core turn on. So it's tempting to have most of your weight in the front. Notice what shifts when it's all about the back leg, and then the front leg is almost just like training wheels, helping you balance, helping you rotate. The arms can do whatever is natural for you. And the next time you spiral, pause there and then play with shifting the weight forward. It's okay that there's a little bit of wobble there. Just make sure the knee doesn't knock in, and then unweight the back toe. You can even do a couple of little leg lifts like a baby Virabhadrasana 3. And then start to straighten the right leg, standing up. Bring the left knee in front of you and twist to the left. And then gently untwist. Set the lifted foot back, and we'll pause in Virabhadrasana 1. Equal weight in both feet. Press down into the soles of the feet and imagine the spine growing and blossoming open. Connect to the breath flow. Start to connect to the back of the rib cage as well as you breathe. And then let's try that again. So straighten the right leg just to take some weight out of it, and then start to bend the knee, gentle rotation. Remember, the magic here is having the weight in the left foot. As soon as you do that, notice what changes in your core. You might feel like your rotation is a little more limited when that turns on, and that's okay. It's actually good. It's a deep stabilization. And the next time you spiral, pause there for one moment, and then slowly start to shift the weight into the front foot. Press down into the right foot, lift the left knee, and spiral to the left. We'll do this one more time, and you can always move ahead once you know the sequence. And so we'll set the foot back down, pausing in Virabhadrasana 1. Breathing, opening, feeling light and expansive. And then straighten that front leg, just getting a little bit of a break. Try bending the knee and spiraling at the same time. Feeling how, nice Mandy, feeling how those two are related. See if you can feel the muscles in the back body supporting you as you spiral, almost like decelerating the movement. Nice, Gita. The next time you spiral, pause there. Shift the weight. Press down into the right foot. Lift the left. Option to externally rotate the left thigh bone for dancing Shiva. Remember, wobbles are okay here. And then set the left foot down, set the right foot down. Release the arms, and pause. And notice what it feels like to come back down to the earth. You can grab a sip of water and hit play on the next track if you are having our musical accompaniment today. Okay, so now we'll straddle the bolster, so that means one foot is on either side of the bolster. Shift the weight into the right foot and bring the left foot up and take a twist to the left, just like we practiced before. And then as you untwist, the foot comes down and we'll go the other way. So now right foot up and twist. I kind of feel like jazzercise or aerobics here, but it's not, right? Because we're being really conscious, we're being really light. We can play with these fun movements, but bring a different quality to them. See how much ease you can find as you play with this. Make sure the hips feel safe, make sure the knees feel supported. The next time the left foot steps up, let's add something. Shift the weight into the left, lift the right foot, and twist towards it. And then we'll step down and do the same thing on the other side. So right foot steps up, and then left leg lifts and spirals. And then this can start to be a brain game thing. If you alternate sides, you're just not allowed to get frustrated because it's just for fun. The trick is to twist towards the leg that's... No, actually, that's not a good trick. Ignore me. Find your own trick and then tell me what it is. Nice, Laura. And the next time you step up, pause there and play with tree pose, letting the lifted leg come to the calf, or it can come higher, but you can't touch it with your hands. You can only bring it to where your muscles want to bring it. Anchor into the big toe. Take a couple of breaths, smile. Feel your foundation and find gratitude for all the muscles in the ankle and the deep core that are helping you with this feat. No pun intended. Step the feet down. Relax the arms, pause. Notice any warmth in the left side. It's a sneaky warmth, right? It's like there's so much more coming online when you're trying to balance on the blanket. So it's a lot harder, and it's a quiet challenge. And then we'll play our game again. So right foot up and twist, and then left foot up and twist, and take a few from side to side. And if you're smiling, you're doing it right. And the next time the right foot is on the blanket and the left foot is lifted, we'll take our tree on the other side. And you can play with sliding the leg up, but try to go hands-free. Reach the arms to a soft T. Take a couple of breaths. And then gently step one foot down at a time. Relax the arms down. And again, notice if it's easier to feel the soles of your feet. After doing this work on the blanket, it wakes up a lot more tactile feedback. And we'll gently start to rotate the hips in a big circle and try to keep equal weight in both feet, and that's going to limit the movement of the hips, keeping the equal weight, but hopefully you can notice a sense of the legs feeling connected and really strong. Let the hips go the opposite direction. And so the peak pose, I guess you could call it, in today's class is a pretty challenging pose, Ardha Chandrasana, and I picked it because I want you to discover how much strength you've woken up in this really gentle and fun way, put it to the test in this challenging pose that might not feel so challenging. So let's start by turning our feet out, letting our knees point out for a couple of goddess poses, and make sure the angle of the thighs is the same as the angle of the feet, and there's no pressure on the inside of the knees. Arms to T, push the arms down to float the hips, and take a couple of these buoyant goddess pulses. Feel the hips getting lighter, and notice how as the hips become buoyant, how the spine becomes more spacious. The next time the hips are down, we're going to sneak into Virabhadrasana 2, turning the right toes out and letting the left heel come out just a little bit. If you're on a blanket, it might feel a little slippery or slidey, and that's okay as long as you feel safe. It's just a new element to play with. Start to shift the weight into the front foot. Plug the right heel down. The more the right heel presses, the safer that right knee is. It's okay, in fact, it's good to let that knee bend as long as the weight is in the heel. Get springy in the right leg, slide the back leg in, and let the right arm get heavy. Bring the left hand to the hip and start to play with anchoring the right big toe down. Push down into the foot to unweight the left foot. Pause here, and if it feels stable and interesting, play with pressing into the bottom foot and starting to reach the limbs out. The more you can keep the right foot anchored, the safer it is to stack the hips, staying long through the spine. Beautiful. You can come down at any time. Relax. Make sure you're working with the body and not against it. Let's try one more. Just breathing, finding that softness, breathing into the back of the rib cage. And then set the top foot down. Lift the right arm, letting the right side get spacious. Turn the right foot forward. Bend the left knee and let the whole right side of the body lengthen in a surfer squat. And then straighten the leg. Pause for a moment at center. And now that you know where we're headed, visualize yourself on the second side. Finding that ease. Finding that anchoring into the earth, and then the core support that helps you to be buoyant and light. Picture yourself breathing in that shape and relaxed and happy. And then let's try it. So take a couple of your goddess pulses. Nice and easy. Try to feel as light as possible here. Doesn't matter how far you go. Doesn't matter about the hips opening. And then turn the feet to the left. Plug the left heel in and get springy in the left knee. The next time the knee bends, unweight the right foot, heavy left arm, and slowly start to push down into the big toe. Let everything else in the body get light and spacious. Find a drishti. Find your breath. And then if you feel a little wobbly, play with coming out and re-entering as many times as you need to. And be patient and be compassionate and just try to enjoy the process. Whenever you're ready, you can bend the bottom leg, set the top foot down, and let the whole left side of the body open. And then turn the left toes forward, bend the right knee so you get even more opening through that left side. Again, plug into the heel to support the back of the knee more. And then straighten both legs, pause in star pose, and melt the arms down. heel toe the feet together, and then step to the right side of your blanket. Turn towards the blanket and take one moment to open through the front of the body, pressing the feet down, getting spacious, but remembering to breathe into the back body as well. And then soften the knees, let the spine melt over the legs, release the hands down to the blanket, bend the knees really deeply, heel toe the feet a little wider, and then let the hips sway from side to side. Breathe into the low back. Breathe into the backs of the legs. And then gently lower one knee at a time and inch the knees forward until they touch the blankets, and then place the hands forward so you're in a long tabletop. We'll take a couple more of those waving vinyasas that we did earlier. So press into the hands, send the hips back, let everything melt. Stay here as long as you want, as long as this feels productive and enjoyable. And then whenever the body is craving it, push down into the shins, unweight the hips, gently start to roll forward, letting the front edge of the body lift, letting the back of the body open. Most of the weight's in the pinky side of the hands. Hips gently start to lower. Traction the hands back and wide, letting the whole front of the body open. You can stay here as long as you want. And then whenever you're ready, press back to the starting position. And again, you can stay there as long as you want. And we'll just take one or two more, or stay in Bhaktasana. Nice, Mandy. That looked so fluid. And next time you're in Bhaktasana, make sure the forehead is on the stack of blankets, and gently start to rock from side to side, massaging the forehead. Imagine all of the thoughts dissipating, just being cleared away. And then send the weight back into the hips, tent the fingertips, and slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. You can press the hands down into the blanket to make it as easy as possible. And then go to the next track, just a little more relaxing of music. I want to demo our restorative pose before you lay down, because I think it'll be easier for you to observe. We'll keep two of the blankets stacked and then keep the third blanket nearby because it will be helpful. We'll be reclining onto the back and then bringing the hips onto the blanket like a restorative bridge pose, but then we'll be adding on a twist. And for the twist, you want the sacrum to stack, and so that's where this other blanket is handy underneath the top knee. So kind of like if you're going to sleep and you might put a blanket between the legs and have like your little blanket or pillow between your arms. And then from here, you can stay on the side, and this is a really nice way just to open through that outer line of the leg. You'll also have the option, something that's not for everyone, is bending the bottom knee and holding the bottom foot. And you only want to take this option if it feels really good. If it feels tight or like you're in a really deep stretch, I would recommend skipping it. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, but my top hip is stacked over my bottom hip. So that's what's going to keep the sacrum and the sacroiliac joint nice and safe. And that's why we've got this extra blanket here. So I'll talk you into all of that, and hopefully that visualization will make it easier. So make your way onto your back and then set your pelvis up onto your stack of just 2 blankets, so it's not very high. And we're not going to go into that restorative pose quite yet. So the soles of the feet come to your mat. Take a moment to feel the back of the body supported by the earth and your blanket. The arms can come wide if that feels nice, or any modification that your shoulders are asking for. And gently start to windshield wiper the knees, and going extra slow here can be such an amazing massage for the glutes and the low back. If you find an area that needs a little extra love, you can pause there and make micro movements, so little tiny rocking in place to massage out any knots or tightness, or you can keep the movement fluid and all the way across. And the next time the knees lower towards the left, pause and start to gaze to the right and just notice the sensation through the spine and this gentle twist. Check in with the knees and make sure they feel okay here. Sometimes lifting that top knee a little bit can prevent pressure from going into the inside, the ligament in the inner part of the knee. And then slow motion through center, same thing, other side, just warming up for that restorative twist that we'll do in a moment. Try reaching the top knee away from you and notice how that changes the experience. And then come back to center and float both feet. The knees can be bent as much as they need to be for this to be comfortable, and we'll take a moment with legs up an invisible wall. Hopefully the bolster under the hips makes this really effortless, and it shouldn't feel like you have to do too much work to hold the feet up. Take a few breaths here. Notice if you've got equal weight in both hips and along both sides of the spine. And then set one foot down at a time. And then rock over to whatever side would help you face me so that you can see better on this first side. Reach the bottom arm out and slide the shoulder blade forward so you've got a lot of space of the rib cage between the shoulder blade and the rib cage. And then start to straighten the bottom leg and use your blanket. You might need to fold it up or roll it up even as a support underneath that top knee. And take a moment to make sure the hips are stacked. And then play with peeling the rib cage open. You don't need to go very far here. I like to keep my top hand on my rib cage, and then it's just like the weight of my arm is helping my rib cage open. Take a few breaths through the top side of the body, especially the outer leg, outer hip, and outer core. The gaze can be towards the bottom hand or up. I find it's pretty intense to gaze back, but you can allow that to unfold if the body is craving it. And then check in with that top leg. Make sure it feels supported. You might need to keep doubling up that blanket. Now, optional to bend the bottom knee to any amount that feels good. And if the hand and foot are close together, you can use the top hand to hold on to the toes or the foot. Just make sure that the hip and the quadricep and the bottom knee all feel okay with this option. Wherever you are, make sure you can breathe. Make sure you can relax. And know that you can release at any time. At this point in class, it's fine to be completely relaxed. You can ignore this next cue, but I really enjoy the sensation of gently kicking my foot into my hand. I find that I really need that little extra stabilization. Pressing the bottom leg down into the floor is also helpful, and I'm talking very gentle, just like the most minimal muscular effort. And we'll just take a few more breaths here. If you're holding the bottom foot, release it. Let the bottom leg glide across the mat, gently letting it fill and expand. And then bend the bottom knee, stacking both knees. Pause for a moment in this gentle twist. And then slowly, whenever you want to, roll the hips back down, place the soles of the feet down, recenter the weight, and pause at center. Take your time. If you'd like, you can take another legs up the wall, or you just let yourself be really mellow here, taking in the effects of that really quite deep restorative pose. And then preparing for the second side, take your extra blanket, if you used it, and place it over to the other side. Roll onto the other hip and bend both knees. Reach the bottom arm out so that the shoulder and the back body feel spacious and you're not compressing that bottom shoulder. Take a couple of breaths, just getting used to being on the side. There is this gentle inversion as the hips are supported. Make sure top hip is stacked right on the bottom hip. And then Support the top knee with the blanket and play with starting to lengthen the bottom leg out. And this is a great place to pause. And breathe. Let yourself be here for a little while. Let the pressure, the bottom blanket, massage that bottom hip. And then place the top hand to the top rib cage and gently let the weight of the arm start to spiral the rib cage open. Let it be really gentle and natural, not trying to go far, but almost just imagining that the body is melting open. I'm finding it actually more comfortable to put my forearm on my rib cage. It's just a little gentler. I like the way it feels for my arm and for that weight on my body. Start to play with the gaze, trying to avoid a sense of wanting to stretch in the neck, but instead just letting the neck unfold and noticing where there's a sense of ease and spaciousness. And then option to play with bending the bottom knee, and know that that is not a great option for everyone, so that you can really tune into the sensations that it evokes and not assume that it's good, but play and explore and listen and respond. Make sure you can breathe. Make sure you can still focus on that long, slow exhale. And then if the bending of the foot or knee is feeling good, you can see if the hand is close to the foot, just providing a little extra support. You can be really soft and relaxed here. If you want to play with pushing the bottom leg gently down into the blanket and the floor, noticing how the hip and knee respond. You can also gently kick the foot into the hand to further open the front of the body, increases the eccentric contraction in the front body and the hip. Wherever you are, make sure that you're enjoying it. Connect with the breath flow and feel that it is your link to something greater than mundane reality. And we'll just take a few more breaths, and if you're holding the foot, just know you can release it at any time. Make sure you're staying relaxed and heading in a direction towards restfulness. And then when you're ready to release, gently let the bottom leg start to fill and expand, floating long. Let the top arm reach open, bring the arms to T, and let that top shoulder start to center the body weight so the top leg can float back to center. Sole of the foot comes to the earth, and re-center your hips. Pause for a moment in supported bridge. You're welcome to go feet wide, knocking the knees in like we did at the beginning, and just absorb. You can pause the music at any time. Let the knees come into the chest, and because the hips are up on a blanket, The legs will probably just stay right there. And flipped around, restorative, Bhaktasana. Just relax for a moment. Feel the tractioning of the spine. And then we've got 3 blankets, so let's set up a really nice Savasana. You can slide one blanket off of your stack and use that bottom blanket underneath the center of the knees. And then the other blanket can place it so that it will be under the middle of the shoulder blade and the head. So this is going to unload the trapezius muscle, which can feel really nice. And sometimes it's nice to have an extra fold at the top if you want your head to be elevated slightly. And then the third blanket can be sort of like a nice weight that you place along the front of the body or the front of the hips. It can also be really nice to unfold it nice and wide, place it over the belly, and the reason you want it to be wide is so that it can support your arms. So you have this nice little bend in the elbows, and then the blanket is supporting the backs of the hands. And so take your time setting up your props, making sure everything feels really cozy and comfortable. And then notice a sense of balance in the body. Notice any spaciousness. And let yourself become relaxed. Tune into your natural breath and see if you can follow the breath into the back ribs and the low back. And Savasana is a time to relax, but it is also a time to stay conscious. And the breath can be the perfect way to do both of those things. So let the breath be your focal point as the body gets soft and heavy. Just keep observing this link, this precious link that each of us has to pure consciousness, to and with each breath imagine just drinking in, just soaking in that consciousness. And it is not separate. It is within you, within every one of your cells. It's at the heart of your being. And the breath is just a constant reminder of what lies at the basis of your existence, this pure consciousness. And so we'll rest here for several minutes now. Let your awareness connect with your breath. And the goal of yoga and meditation is to connect with pure consciousness and to let go of the patterns in the physical body and the mental body that separate us from this consciousness. And sometimes at the end of Savasana, there's this really amazing opportunity to leave a lot behind. To leave all the things that you're always carrying around. And to connect with that pure state of consciousness inside. And so let your breath help you do that. Let each breath be clarifying and centering. Take your time making your way to seated, and imagine it's almost just like the part of you that is pure consciousness is coming up to seated. And whatever blocks you from that experience is staying in Savasana invisibly on the mat. When you make it to seated, give yourself time to be comfortable and use your blankets to be supportive. And then see how much you can relax in the physical body, and hopefully after the work that we've done, there's still that deep support that helps you feel light and spacious in an effortless way. Imagine the body is taken care of. You've already done that work. Let it just be now. You can close the eyes or find a single gaze point. Close the mouth and allow the breath and prana to gently flow into the body. Feel that sense of spaciousness. Feel yourself become very receptive. And then on the exhale, though the breath exits the body, let all your awareness rest at the center of the chest, the energetic heart center. And use that sinking, relaxing feel of the exhale to sink into the heart. You've probably seen the heart chakra depicted like a flower. And a visualization that Babaji gives is to let the awareness go into the stem of the flower. I always imagine that stem hooked right into my psychic system, my energy body. And so on the inhale, there's that ability to open the heart and visualize the flower opening. And then on the exhale, the focus sinks down into the base of the flower, into the stem and even the roots. And see if you can walk the line of being very relaxed, yet alert. Letting the mind be quiet and starting to wake up to the deeper experience inside. And each heart-centered breath guides us into that experience. And check in with where your awareness is, and if it's in the mind, that's okay. There's sort of a quality of energy bubbling up when the thoughts are in the mind. And see if you can connect to the breath and draw that energy down towards the heart. And usually the best way to do that is by softening and relaxing, almost giving that energy space to pool down. The more spacious you can become in the heart, the less the energy travels up into the mind. And continuing to breathe and continuing to connect with the heart. Bring your hands together and feel that gentle tactile feedback as the thumbs rest at that heart center. And breathe into that. And feel the merging of the prana of your breath and the physical body inside and out. And see if you can keep that awareness as the eyes open. And let yourself start to segue into being this spiritual being awake in the world and in the rest of your day. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste. So wonderful to be here with you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, the rest of your week, and hope to see you all soon. Take care. Aloha. Bye, Mandy. Great to see you, Geeta and Tammy. Thanks for being here.